Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Masks Off. Today, I want to talk about boundaries and how boundaries can be a good thing for us, how it can be not just about identifying the things that we don't like or don't want to have in our life, but more of those, bringing in more of those positive things into our life. So I want to begin first with a quote, and it is by Melody Beattie, and it is from her book, The Language of Letting Go. It's daily meditations for codependence. So she says, having boundaries doesn't complicate life. Boundaries simplify life. So she goes on to explain that when we're willing to take risks, when we're willing to explore what it is that we want in our lives, what do we need in our lives, that our lives become more rich and more meaningful. And she says that we need to actually begin to ask ourselves questions like, what do we like? What does feel good to me? What brings pleasure? And whose company do we enjoy? What helps us to feel good in the morning? And there's other questions. So, if you are a people pleaser, if you have spent most of your life putting other people's needs, wants, and desires ahead of your own, and oftentimes codependents and empaths are really, really good at doing this. They are really good at being the people pleaser, being the martyr, and putting other people's needs ahead of their own. And I can say, for one, this has been a pattern for me in my life. Now I'm beginning to, as I have been on this path, this road to recovery, on this road to working on myself and healing, I'm beginning to ask those questions that Melody Beattie just talked about. Like, what does feel good to me? What do I want to do today? Who do I want to spend my time with? I mean, for the longest time, I just automatically did things. I just did them unconsciously. Oh, somebody called and asked me to go for tea. Well, I've been friends with you for a really long time, so I have to say yes, right? Can't say no, because that might be mean or rude, not being a good girl. So I'm learning now to first pause and check in with myself. Like, what is it that I really want? What do I need? What boundaries do I have to implement for myself? And as of late, I have been spending time every day with like a checklist, goals almost. So I belong to another support group, a group of women, and I really have been learning how to push myself to my edge in this group. And it's been phenomenal. And it's been so good for me to stretch myself. And so one of the things that I learned in this group is how to create the life of my choosing. Now, I have been to some extent working on this for a really long time, but not fully, because I was also very stuck in the role of being mom, and the role of wife, and the role of taking care of my parents when they were alive. And now that my kids are on their own a little bit, one's in college and the other just moved into his own apartment, and my parents have both passed away. And So now I'm in that empty nester phase, and I'm beginning to take the opportunity to like really look at my life and what is it that I want and need. So creating this life of my choosing is what I have been focusing on each and every day. And I've actually wrote it out, made a list. What do I want or need to do to cultivate and nourish my mind, my body, my spirit? So I've made a list of the things that help me feel most nourished. So for my body, I exercise 4 times a week. I make sure that I do 10 minutes every day of a little bit of stretching and some abs, and try to do yoga a couple of times a week so that I'm really working on my flexibility and working on my fitness. And for my fitness, I don't push, like go to the gym and say, oh, I have to work out. It can be like something that's fun, like playing tennis, or I absolutely love boxing with my trainer. So I do boxing once a week, and that's one of my workouts. And then I incorporate the Peloton or other things that are truly just exercise. So I check in, what does my body need? I make sure that I'm trying to hydrate. I move my body, I'm stretching, I'm doing my abs. I'm making sure that I get enough sleep. And then I check in, what does my mind need? Like, this is all a part of the boundary setting, right? The positive boundaries for myself. I'm working within this container and this parameter of what I need to do in order to create the best life for myself. So my mind, okay, so then I will do my daily readings. I will, to the best of my ability, each and every day, check in with myself throughout the day, staying in the present moment, making sure, like, am I caught in looping, ruminating, trying to eliminate as much ruminating and rabbit hole thinking as I can, watching my mind if I'm going into the future or into the past and bringing myself right back to the moment, being mindful of if I'm worrying, if I'm feeling anxious and I'm trying to control. Now, I'm not perfect at all these things, but these are the things that I'm working on each and every day. So then my spirit, what do I want to cultivate for my spirit? I have always felt super connected to nature. So as much as I possibly can, I try to make sure that I get out in nature, take a walk, just looking out my window, connecting in that way. I also love to listen to music, dancing. I actually do really enjoy rap music. So I know that may not be common for a 53-year-old woman to actually listen to rap music, but I do, and I love it. And I've loved it since I was a teenager. So just, the beat of rap music or hip hop just gives me a feel good vibration, that vibe of just bopping. I just love it. So listening to music as much as I can, and then meditation. So I will honestly say that I am working a little bit harder on cultivating the spirit piece of it. Sometimes I can tend to let that one slip a little bit, and I really focus more on the body or the mind. But again, it's about making steps. It's not about being perfect, just taking small steps and just watering the garden, right? I plant the seeds and then I just water it a little bit each and every day. A couple other things that I do or have done over the last several decades is like the question says, who do I want to spend my time with? I'm really becoming more mindful about where and who I spend my time with. That's a hard one because it can be difficult to let certain people that have been in my life for a really long time, to let them go or to not spend as much time. There was a time when I would just take anyone's call or call family members or spend time with people, family, different things because I felt I had to, or friends even. And now I'm really making a more conscious choice about where I put my time. So I am cultivating that as well. And I love connecting on a deep level, like having good, deep conversations. And so I do make sure that I can do that as much as possible as well. So I share all this on the boundaries to say, and I've been saying it throughout this video, but just to kind of reiterate and underscore that it takes time. It really takes time to do this. It's not a one and done or overnight. So if you are listening to this and you're feeling like, yeah, that's all well and good, Kim, but you know what? I'm really stuck or I'm really struggling to do any of those things. I just cannot get myself motivated. I can't get my ass off the couch to work out. And I'm just in these awful relationships and I'm just feeling so stuck. And what I want to say is that I hear you. I totally hear you. There just was a time when I really struggled as well, but I kept at it. I just kept persevering. So I think one of my qualities that I have inherently is perseverance. And while it was really difficult at times to keep pushing forward, I just did. And then little by little, it started to click. It just started to click. And I can honestly say, like right now, I feel like I am clicking on all cylinders, body, mind, and spirit. And that might not even last. It may be like today, I'm feeling like I'm clicking on all cylinders, and I have been for a little while, but that doesn't mean that something isn't going to come along down the road where I'm off on nourishing my body, or I fall off the wagon on the way that I eat or something. Some things, you know, I'm not going to be perfect at this all the time, and it's not going to feel like I'm on the mountaintop all the time. So I just encourage you to just keep moving forward, just keep planting seeds, adding water to your garden, and then eventually it will come together. Things will shift and you will have more of the life that you want and desire, because we get the life and the things that we're committed to, not necessarily the things that we want or think we deserve. That has been one of the biggest shifts for me in my thinking, is that my whole life I used to just have wishful thinking. Like literally from the time I was a little girl, I would pretend that I had a magic wand, or that, if you're old enough to remember this, the show Bewitched, I can't remember the actor's name on the show, but she used to just like blink her eyes and she had magical powers. She was a witch and she could just make things happen. I literally thought that I could be her. I could be Bewitched, or the other one was I Dream a Genie. And this is the kind of thinking, that magical thinking that we can have as children, and honestly carried that thinking like well into my adult life. Like my little girl just did not want to let go of that. And when I didn't get the life that I wanted, I was often left feeling disillusioned, depressed, anxious, powerless, even because I wished it. I felt I deserved it or wanted it, but it wasn't happening until I started committing to taking action every day, little by little. And then I began to see the big shifts. So, what boundaries can you set for yourself in a positive way? What types of things do you need to do in your life to create the life of your choosing? So, I leave you with that, and we'll see you next time on Masks Off.